What's going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, delivering to you a special delivery, my review of the brand new manga, Mission Yozakura Family. Before we get into the actual video, there's a couple announcements that I would like to make about my channel here. The first is I'm not going to be doing manga reviews every single week anymore. So my One Piece, The Promised Neverland, and Tokyo Shinobi Squad reviews, I won't be doing those anymore. I started school recently, graduate school, so my schedule's gotten kind of hectic, so I won't be doing those anymore. Instead, every week what I would like to do is bring you one special delivery every Tuesday, such as what we're doing here today, and continue with my weekly manga rankings. I really enjoy doing those, so every Thursday I still want to bring you my rankings for all the manga that came out the previous week. I already have 11 different manga on this week, so I'm very excited to bring you that. But that being said, let's get into the video. So, a brand new manga started this week in Shonen Jump. That manga is Mission Yozakura Family. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not pronouncing Yozakura right, down in the comments, let me know. But so, being that it's the first chapter of the manga, I decided to give it a read, try it out. This is going to be a new serialization in Jump, so I'm excited to get into that. And I wanted to make a video reviewing that chapter, what I thought about the manga, and if I'm going to read it or not going forward, if it's going to be part of my weekly manga reviews. So, I got a couple things to say. Let's just get into it. The first thing that hit me that made me want to get invested in this is the character designs. I'll put a picture here. There's, you see the picture of the whole family in the thumbnail too for this video. But these character designs looked interesting. I love the guy with the bucket on his head. I really want to know more about why he has a bucket on his head. But all of them seem relatively normal people. Like they could be normal people, minus the guy with the bucket on his head. Normal people don't usually have buckets on their heads, but everybody else seems like they could be a normal person, but they're just they have that manga style just enough that it makes me really like them. I love the guy who's in like a trash can. I want to know more about these characters because of how they look. They all look very interesting to me, and so I would want to know more about them, and the character designs just look cool. Even the little cat thing that's on the bucket guy's shoulder in this picture, I really like their character designs. I think they're really cool, and I think they probably explain something about each of the characters. At least so far, I think that the character designs that we've seen help explain some of the characters' pasts already. Such as the older brother, I'm blanking on his name right now. His kind of smiley face. We've seen that kind of face in anime and manga before. And so I think that it plays really well into kind of that creepy, almost too protective kind of personality. Like, I'm thinking Gin Ichimaro from Bleach, something like that. That's the vibe I get. And we know that gray streak of hair in the girl's hair is very significant to the plot somehow, so I can't wait to find out that. But all that being said, I just really like the way these characters look. That was the first thing that drew me into reading this chapter. So, the second thing that I want to address is the premise of the story. First of all, this gives me hardcore Hitman Reborn vibes. I didn't read all of Hitman Reborn, I will warn you up front, but I read a lot of Hitman Reborn. I think the first 200, almost 300 chapters I read. And enjoyed a lot of that manga. I did end up dropping it, unfortunately, but I'm getting that kind of vibe, that kind of vibe from these characters. I know these characters are spies, not part of the mafia, but I'm getting that kind of like pseudo-realistic feel from this manga, and I really like that. I think that there's a lot of potential there. I like that they're spies. I like that the premise is that this kid marries into this family as a high schooler. I think that's really funny. And we I don't know about you, but I definitely saw that he was going to marry her, marry her, if you want to call that, from the beginning of this chapter. As soon as it was brought up, I was like, okay, so it's going to happen. But I didn't know it was going to happen this soon. I think it's kind of nifty. I like the premise. I like the setup. And I'm excited to see him train to be a spy. I think that's going to be cool to see in this chapter as we go forward. I definitely think that will be cool. There's a lot of mysteries that I want answered, including things about why does the guy have a bucket on his head? Why is the other guy in a trash can? There's questions I want to know. Obviously, I want to know about the fire, what happened with the main girl and the older brother. Obviously, these are questions I want answered, but for now, I'm okay to leave them unanswered. There's a lot of mystery there, and I think the premise is really cool. Kind of going along with that, kind of in that same vein, the characterization, and it's only chapter 1, so we only got the first chapter to work with here, but the characterization that we've seen so far, I think looks promising. I think that the main girl is fun. Mutsumi, I believe her name is. She seems fun. She seems like she's going to be an interesting character. The main character, Asano, I believe is his name. He, I think, looks very interesting. One of the things that I thought was really cool about this manga is, his parents, they die in a car accident. Now, we may learn later that somehow that's involved in the spies and everything, but I hope it's not, because that's a very real thing. That happens, it has happened to real people. It's a real tragedy, and we really see him really have to deal with something that people in real life have to deal with. One of the strengths of this manga is that realness, and I think that's going to come in play throughout this manga. And I think it gives him depth. He's afraid to get attached because he's realized that human lives are frail. That's a real thing in our real world, and he has to learn how to get attached to things. I really like that about his character. I like that about this manga. I think that the older brother's protectiveness is interesting, and like I said a billion times, why is the bucket on his head? That's got to have something to do with his personality. I need to know why the bucket's on his head. But I'm excited to find out all of that and to see these characters grow and progress, especially see Asano train. I am excited for that, to see that going forward. So, kind of going off of that realistic feel, also, is the power system. So I'm thinking that there's not going to be any supernatural powers going on in this manga. I think that we're just using weapons, and, maybe extraordinarily, we see the older brother use the iron strings. I believe they call them the spider's web or something, which are real weapons, that iron threads that really do cut people. That's a real thing, and so we see that, we see him use those to extraordinary degrees of ability. Not really a realistic amount of ability he uses them to, but I still really think it's cool. I think it's a very interesting way to do the power system, and I'm excited to see him grow, see all of them grow and learn, and in kind of realistic fighting techniques, as you would learn as a realistic spy. I think it's very promising. So with all of that said, all of that on the table, I think it's safe to say that I am going to be reading this manga and putting it in my weekly rankings, at least in the near future. I definitely encourage you guys to read this manga with me. I think it's going to be a good manga going forward. I think it's really going to bring some new things to the table of Shonen Jump that aren't really going on right now in Shonen Jump. I think that mafia spy kind of feel isn't really happening anywhere in Shonen Jump, so I'm excited to see that happen. And who knows? Maybe they'll get powers later on in the manga and it'll blow up. Maybe, but as for now, I really like that it's kind of a real, more realistic spy manga. I'm really into it. And so I'm definitely going to be reading it from now on. So I definitely encourage you guys to read it with me, and you will see it in my weekly rankings for sure. But that's all I got for you guys this time. If you have anything to say, leave it down in the comment section below. I'd love to talk to you about this manga, about the changes to my channel, any of that. I'd love to be able to talk with you guys about that. Leave comments down below. If you liked anything I had to say, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to bring you videos every single week. That's not changing, so definitely subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as my subscribers. But for now, this is Shonen Express, signing off.